now approaching the zone of no return.
Wow, I can't believe like they actually signed this one. Beep, beep. What is up, ninjas? My name is Sam World, and as many of you guys know, I have been releasing music mainly for the people that, who do you think you are? I'm making a video about producer mistakes. Where's your music, huh? Just to show you guys I don't sound too bad. Now, the track we have has been signed to Kitball, and it's going to be part of a compilation with great artists like Tyler Kui, Juliet Sikora, Tiny Gessler, Culture Kind, Steve Hope. Now, when me and XY finished the To The Jungle track, Kitball was actually our first pick. I mean, the branding on it just screams mommy, due to the fact that the track is literally about going into a jungle, getting high as hell, and finding your true self. Now, a question I get asked a lot is how to make your own vocals. Now, I do recommend, if you're going to be making your own vocals, invest in a good mic. But if you want, you can also use your iPhone. Here I have my 6-inch mic Steve, and it's what I use to make the vocals for a lot of the Deceiver packs and also some of the vocals that you hear in my Instagram stories. Once you have a good mic and you have an interface which you can record to, what I recommend before recording is that you go into your preferences, you go into your buffer size, and you lower that down as low as you can before your CPU takes a poo-poo. The reason is that the lower the CPU, the lower the buffer size, the lower the latency, which is very optimal because you can land on beat and then you're not going to have to warp as hard. Usually you will run higher buffer sizes to save CPU power. Once you record your vocal, it should sound something like this. You are now approaching the zone of no return. Whoa, what happened? I like that. Desires will become reality. Kidball was watching. Is like, who signed these guys, man? Now, once you have your vocal, what you have to do is, one, if you didn't land on beat, you're going to have to warp your vocal. Now, the cool thing about Ableton is that it's going to give you recommendations. For instance, let's say that I want to warp this and make it sound a little different, like on beat. And then what I can do is, let's say I want it to go over here, then I could do that, turn on the metronome, and then from there, I have transient markers that I can work with. Now here, I can start landing stuff. You are now, and we're going to go complex pro. You are now, and you can see as I start to move it, we're going to increase the volume. You are now approaching the zone of no. You can start to kind of get it in time. I recommend Complex Pro, and I recommend you lower down the performance for this. Now, once you're done recording, I do recommend that you pick up either Auto-Tune or Melodyne and utilize this for your vocals just so that you are in key with your track. This one, I decided to use Auto-Tune for the set it and forget it mode. First off, know the scale you're in. I'm in F minor, so this is why we set that up. Now, here we have the retune speed, which I can turn down or up. Now, I usually have it down for vocals like this, depending on the song. You are now approaching the zone of no return. You can kind of hear the auto-tune effect, which some people have made famous in hip-hop and whatnot, but for me, usually a faster speed, which is more to the left, helps in just... You're now approaching the zone of no return. Make it sound a little more robotic, but also it fits the whole tech house vibe in my opinion. From there, I did transpose this down by 8 to make myself sound even more badass.
You're now approaching the zone of no return, where your wishes and desires will become reality. Now from here, this you should be done once you have everything set up and it sounds super cool. But if you wanted to go the extra mile and you want to be like Cara, Taylor Swift, and them stacking vocals, and you can keep it recording or you can use this trick. I like to use a little Alter Boy to create a bit of width. The moment that you put Alter Boy and you mess with the formants away from the pitch, you get a bit of width out of that. So that's the idea of layering these with the vocal. Putting both of these, again, not the width at 100%, but just a bit at 25, 30 to apply a bit of the signal helps kind of beef it up, but also add like a more mischievous, third dimensional, we're getting high in the jungle peyote vibe. You're now approaching the zone of no return.
If I bring them up, from there, we get into making the vocals sound good. Now, there's a couple of things usually you're going to do with your voice. The first one we have is the Mac EQ4, which should be free or it should be part of a subscription. I'm not too sure, but I bought it back in the day when it was like $50, but originally it was $300. Can you believe that? But what this thing is going to do is it's going to add that nice crispy air. Have you ever touched a man's beard and just gone like, crispy? Then this is what it does to the vocals, where you're going to use the air gain, which is one of the best knobs for vocals in my opinion. Again, if you're in a clean environment, you should be able to jam that thing up. Set the desired part where the high shelf's going to start. I say 10 and then we blow up.
You're now approaching the zone of no return.
Super crispy, man, I'm telling you. From there, the next step is going to be to compress the vocal. Now, if you're like me, when you talk, a lot of the times your voice will tend to fluctuate really high, really loud, really soft, and whatnot, you know. And with these kind of tracks, we're not trying to make Adele stuff. A lot of the stuff we're going to be saying is stuff like, mueve el cuerpo, mamacita, dámela, 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 súbasela arriba, como un roller coaster en Buena Park, me lo da in Knott's Berry Farm. Inspired me. So we want to make sure it sounds loud. We're not making anything that sounds dynamic, full like opera or like slowly getting loud and whatnot. So that's the whole point. So here, what we're trying to do, and we'll use this to just kind of explain it, is we're going to increase the threshold as we go. And we're just trying to get the voice again to stay very balanced.
You're now approaching the zone of no return.
We're going to make it up.
Where your wishes and desire. You're now approaching the zone of no return. Where your wishes and desires will become.
Okay, so that's the point of that. Okay, and then from there, just an EQ to get the voice sounding even better, a little bit more like crispiness.
You're now approaching the zone.
The West End vocal rack, which is going to be like CLA, but I think West End looks like a chiller dude and he fishes. So, Chris Algie, I'm so sorry, but this is my new CLA.
You're now approaching the zone of no return.
It's going to add a lot of really cool reverb, which sounds great, by the way. And whenever I have a song, it's like you just need something like basic reverb or delay, and you need something that's always going to work. This thing works really well. Now, you can download over on his YouTube channel. He has videos, and like I think he puts it as a free download. From there, just Echo Boy for a bit of echo. Now, this is the coolest effect that I think every tech house producer should know because it's been used. A lot of people ask me about it on Walker and Royce kind of tracks, and also a lot of people execute this. Now, this effect only works when you're in time bass in any delay out there, and what you're going to do is you're going to automate your time to get the effect. From there, you go the extra mile and automate the dry and wet and feedback to get a desired effect. But for this track, we wanted to have a moment in the break of the song where this really cool thing happens. Now, what I'm going to do here is maybe... yeah, we'll play it.
Become reality.
And then it goes away. There's a couple of things. One, when you have a delay and you have a high feedback, you're creating more of the delay, so it starts to multiply a lot. So that's why you see like beep, beep, beep. At the same time, when you have your time, and this is an effect every tech house producer should know, because a lot of the sounds being used right now in like a lot of this minimal stuff and a lot of the clone stuff and a lot of the Wade, these shots that sound very metallic can be made with this without automation, just having different times and a high feedback, which gives you like this metallic vibe. But for here, if you automate that, you can create these sort of cool risers and whatnot to help you like transition from parts of the song. So for this one, it just felt right to have.
Your wishes and desires will become reality.
And you can see it gets faster and faster. And then the dry and wet shuts off because at stereo, you don't get any delay. So I thought that was really cool. Now from there, that same rack in the song, we have the vocal. Now I'm not going to play the whole song because we're going to get copyrighted because sadly, I think the label hasn't reached back to me in terms of like whitelisting. So it's something that happens. Just be aware when you sign your track, you could get stuff copyrighted on Instagram and whatnot.
To the jungle we go, to find our soul, to finally seek from this world to the jungle.
Now, when XY sent me the song, it has a very jungle-ish groove. Like, don't get me wrong, it sounds cool, and it's like this. So when writing vocals and stuff or making your own vocals, make sure you also set a theme for the song. Hear the song and see, okay, what do I want this song to be about? This one was just fun to make because we're going to the jungle, man. To the jungle we go to find our soul, to find what we seek from this world. So we're going to the jungle to get high. That's the whole point. Now, the synths in this track are not going to be all crazy. And to be honest, the best synth in this track is going to be one that XY put in there. Now, I don't know how he made it, but when you do collabs, you're going to get some producers that send you everything VST so you can like study their thing if you ever wanted to. Like, you know, get a collab with Chris Lake. I'm like, how do you get this kick so fat? You know, so, but XY decided to stem it out, so I couldn't see what it was. But it sounds really cool. So from there, I decided to, okay, you know, that has to make the cut. But from there, the next synths that we have are just to accentuate the beat because it's a very heavy drum track. It's tribal tech house after all. So I decided to go with the BX Oberhausen. Now, during this time, I think Plugin Alliance was giving this stuff away for free because they were joining like the subscription-based kind of big service of these big companies combining. So I went in there and found a preset. You know, I'm a sound designer, but when I'm working on music and I want to get into the zone of writing, I'm never working on sound design unless I know what I want or unless I'm on the main track over there. If I ever do work on sound design, though, it's during the time where I'm not in the flow state of working fast and knowing where the track needs to go. So it's just accentuating the groove. And now from there, if it becomes into an uplifter where a bunch of automation occurs on it. So there's the little get out of jail free card if you were going to criticize me on that. But anyways, we're going to have a lot of automation, as you can see, just to get this really cool uplifter. I love dance music, and I started liking it a lot because back when I was younger, I was a little chubby, and I used to run a lot to lose the weight. And that's all I would listen to was dance. So any song that raised the energy level like this, I would always go, I love this song because this is the part where I'm going to sprint and like get everything out, burn as many as I can, just get into that flow. So this is the point of this. The CPU can't handle it. All right, so that creates that really huge moment, and it happens again later on in the song, and then there's this delay to end it. From there, we get to the bass of this track. Now, this is another very frequently asked question I get about tribal tech house, how to make the basses. Now, this is only one way to make this style of bass. Now, this bass is going to be from a pack. Thank you, XI, for using one loop in your track, which is going to be Un Por Favor, which I think is the Zero Volume 3 or 4. And this is how it's going to sound like with the kick. Okay, now, how do you make those kind of tom bass lines? So here's a little quick tutorial. Again, with these kind of videos, I want to provide value to you guys as well, and knowledge. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab a sampler, and then you can go to any sample pack you want. I'm going to use this one here because I'm working on the Seaver Volume 5, baby. So here's this plug tom I made called A-Sharp Love Us. It's going to be more of a synthy kind of tom, but you can really use any tom where you have a predetermined tone and key to it. From there, I'm going to set this to C by going up three semitones, which is A sharp. So you go up to B, C. I think it's 2. I'm not the best. And then from there, what I'm going to do is grab this filter and move it like so. Now, I'm going to find the right octave to where this turns into a bass. Okay, we're just going to hold Command-Shift-M. Go to the octave where you're getting that low end. For us, it's going to be there. I'm going to be an F, and then from there, I'm just creating the groove. So I'm going to go to harmonic notes that are part of the F chord, which is the G sharp and the C. And we could do something like this, and then I'm going to do the reggaeton beat right here. Oh, boba, ¿cómo estamos, güey? Here we go. Now let's get it up. We're going to add a side chain. Now, the difficulty with these kind of basses is the mixing on them, because since you're using like a very sample, a fucking tom sample, you don't know if it has too much low end or not. Okay, so the drum section of this track is all XY's work, and one of the things about XY that you're gonna know, I think it's a signature style and everyone's gonna have it, is that his drums are always very heavy. This section of drums is a lot, but we're gonna talk about them. The first one, which is gonna be the main one, I feel like is gonna be the Perk Loop ramp. Okay, so that's the main one. From there, there's an open hat. This is all easy stuff, by the way. It's just finding the right loops that you like. From there, there's a clap. Okay, so this is a basic beat. From there, we're going to get into a layer of 4 claps. All right, so from there, we're going to go into some drums, which are going to add a lot to the beat. And if you notice, this top one's already giving a certain vibe, but this bottom one is going to add just an extra touch, which becomes a big part of the groove. And if you already heard, it's going to be that pop-up. Okay, which is going to be right here. Now, ideally me, what I would have done is I would have done this, because what's the point of having that? But we did have an interview with Sid in the Dojo series where he talks about having drum loops sometimes that are just there to add texture. It adds something to the groove and he can hear it, so he leaves it. So again, if it sounds good, leave it. But if you want to be clean, then you can do this. Okay, but I will say being too clean sometimes does sort of mess with character in the sense that the track sounds too clean, but it lacks character. And then from there, we have another big loop, which is going to be the Quantum XP Hat and Perk. Notice how they're all adding and not really messing the groove up. So that's something that I'm like, okay, how the hell are you doing that? But I believe that he's doing the Samworld treatment. So if you guys watch any of my videos, you already know that when you're using a bunch of drum loops, I always recommend you grab what you need to create your own groove. So one of the things you can do is you can go into the envelope section, go into clip, go into the gain, and then from there, take out the parts you don't need and then use the rest for your groove. So this thing is adding. Boop-bum, boop-bum. Okay, from there we have a top loop. So again, this is going to accentuate more of the pop-up as well. It's just another layer to make that sound a lot beefier. Maybe this is how these guys get their damn perk sounding so big. Okay, here we go. Another one, which are going to be fills at this point. Okay, which again, a lot of Tool Room Academy looks like samples. And then from there, we have this As we keep going, there's more. Okay, now this is giving a lot more mid-lows. And mid-lows there to help with the layering of whatnot. So a lot of these top drums didn't have that balls, as we say, cojones in Spanish. So it seems like this is what adds it. The last few miscellaneous stuff. Now, this is going to be just little things that I told XY to add, and he added by himself as well. Number one, little timbale fill for like this little section to help with transitions. It just fits the track. It's in the theme of it, so it makes sense. And then I made these producer tags, which I think you guys already heard. Zenworld, I was telling him, I was like, you got to put these somewhere and then see if anyone picks up on what I'm saying. Like, and then I also made one for him. I call these my producer tags. You know, I'm not a hip hop guy, but yeah, dude, that's what's up, man. As Axel will say, that's some professional shit. Okay. The last thing I said, I told XY is we need to add elephants. Now, keep in mind, when I was making the vocals, I was a little high and drunk. So that came from that side of stuff. So we created this really epic moment on the last drop where I was telling XY, we got to do this. So I set it up and it turned out great. There's a sick moment and I'm just going to play this part. And then, yeah, to the jungle we go. And then we get that massive synth again, to this day, he sent me the final version of the project and I did not get the... So this is going to be to the jungle, guys. If you guys have any more questions on it, you can leave it down in the comments below. Try to provide a bit of value for you guys when it came to the song. So, but as you can see, a lot of it is just bringing the idea, the theme together and making it work. And it was a great collab with XY. But if you want to support this track, you want to hear it, it should be out tomorrow on Spotify and on Beatport. I appreciate any support I can get on it. But other than that, you guys take care. You guys have a great rest of your day. This is Zenworld out. And there's one last thing I'm going to say. And if you want to sample it, you can sample it. And it's going to be something like this. Estoy haciendo vocales para el Deceiver Volume 5, para todos los productores que son de México, de Latinoamérica, tienen que llegar, porque los pinches... Yeah, it wasn't that good. But other than that, you guys have a good one. Much love.